Now we're really live because you can hear me because I got the mics on. So good morning, everybody. Dr. Whiteman here with a special guest all the way from Canada. Take off, eh? You know, I had to do my little Canadian accent in there. That's about as much as I know.
Oh, okay.
It's about as much. Yeah, the A. That was the A. Or, you know, I can do something a little bit more dramatic, but I don't know if it's going to go over with the FCC. You know, my favorite joke is, you know what the imported beer is in Canada? What's the Budweiser? and the most famous export from Canada? Anybody from Minnesota? That's about as far as I go. That's very suburban farm humor about Canada. That's at the deprivation of fellow Americans. About as bad as telling lawyer jokes. That's how bad it is.
And I'm supporting you because I'm laughing. You know, I'm helping you out here.
Yeah, you're my comedic muse. Thank you so much, because I need a lot of help. Every Friday, though, we don't need this much help on Fridays because we have just wonderful things happening here at 360 Performance. Because at 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, we bring you people and answers to questions from people that we share like-minded thoughts about in regards to performance. Now today we're going to talk about two areas of performance, one from an athlete's perspective and one from a coach's perspective. In our theme today is the Olympic mindset, the Olympian mindset, and coaching to that mindset. Now that's somewhat of a metaphor because our guest today works with, as a business consultant, works with people who want to be in the coaching business. And we're going to talk about the definition of coaching. You know, what does that word mean? I've discovered, I've shared with some of you, you might remember, that word has a huge spectrum of understanding and definitions. So that's our setup, a little brief setup. But before we get too deep in our discussion today, just join with me in a moment of reflection for those people suffering in Haiti and those people wondering and are curious about their safety in Afghanistan. The Afghan people and that nation are, in my opinion, they're being left to suffer as a camouflage almost to the omissions and errors that we had in our processing here at the United States in taking care of those who suffered with us in our occupation of Afghanistan. In particular, those females that are going to, and have already, suffered some retribution from the conquering government that's there in Afghanistan. So give me a moment of reflection for the Haitians and the difficulties they're having with the earthquake that they suffered. Thousands of people have already been discovered, have passed away because of that natural disaster. And then the more political disaster in Afghanistan. So just a couple of seconds of reflection. All right, once again, everybody, good morning. 360 Performance here, 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time on KUHSdenver.com. I start the show every week with what am I grateful for? And based on the moment of reflection, I am grateful for the support of my family and friends. They are such I don't give them enough credit. Because usually the people that you forget about first are the ones that give you the most, because you just expect it, right? You just expect it to be there. So I want to make sure I make a very clear point about my family and friends and the gratitude I have for what they do for me in helping me be the best that I can be. So we're talking today about coaching and making a mindful connection from coaches to their athletes and the challenges that they have to face when they're looking at things that many times are not challenges from the sport or from the industry of coaching. It's from outside. It's outside the arena. It's on the curb waiting at the bus stop outside the arena. That when we look at kids going back to school, that's a different thing, right? And coaches have their situations they're dealing with. Well, our guest today is Fabian, Raphael. She is a business consultant that works with aspiring entrepreneurs that want to be in the coaching business. They may or may not have been an athlete. I think in most cases they probably have been an athlete based on the frame of reference that Fabian has. She herself is a former elite athlete as a member of the Canadian team handball. And I just find that not only amazing because it's an Olympic effort, but also handball that's aerobic, girl. That is like, takes my breath away just thinking about it, because you're constantly moving, and then you've got other people around you. I mean, I don't want to bump into you, and then if I'm going to, it's just an amazing sport. And I come at it from experiences on the East Coast, where handball was a big deal, outdoor sport, right next to the basketball courts, but it typically was a concrete wall. So give our audience a little bit of a background. What is handball, and how is it? Where is it played? What kind of court is it played on?
Okay, so the court is 40 meters long and 20 meters wide, and I like to compare it as water polo, but on the court. So it's 6 against 6, and every team has their goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper has their zone, so you can't step in as someone who goes on offense in the keeper's zone. It's a contact sport. It's very quick, stop and go all the time. You're only allowed one timeout per half, and it's 2 halves of 30 minutes.
Oh, whoa.
So it's quite intense. It's a contact sport. It's quite intense. I mean, there's a lot of goals. It's extremely exciting. So I don't know why in North America it's not more popular than it is.
Yeah, I kind of wonder what kind of, so it's no equipment for the contact, right? No pads, do you have shin guards or anything? Any face gear?
No.
Nothing?
Mouth guards, like eventually, like for me, I started wearing a mouth guard after I got this contact from behind and I fell on my teeth and I broke one of them. So after that, I started wearing a mouth guard. So I know a lot of players are wearing one, but that's kind of it.
So like in lacrosse, they wear that little wire thing across their eyes to protect. You don't have any of them.
No, we don't. No.
Now, is it a smushy ball or a hard ball?
No, it's hard, and you can hold it like.
Oh,
in your
whoa.
hands.
Yeah, I'm liking this already. I think I need to go try to play handball, team handball. I could dig that. So
I guess you could still go and watch like the 2 Olympic finals, either men or women, because they were incredible games, and it will probably give you a hint of it and make you want to watch more games.
Who won the gold medal?
France, and both men and women.
No way.
Yeah.
That's just way too much gravitas for the French to handle. That's, I mean, you can't even be in an open space with them with that much gravitas. Their heads will take all the room. That's just what the French do. They just get, ooh, so big, so proud, it's just, it would be crazy. Whereas Americans, we take humble, we're very good winners.
Yeah, sure. Look at you making these jokes again, right?
No, yeah, well, it's because we were so delayed. The technology got in my head, and I now have to deflect to humor, because and also we have just such a great fun topic today. It's great that we started off with you explaining kind of the origins of your athleticism in a contact sport, fast-paced, and also very old. I mean, handball in general, both team as well as individual, it's been around a long time.
I think so. I'm not sure about the exact date, but you're right.
I mean, it's a lot like lacrosse, coming from Native American Indian tribes, that kind of thing. We've got that kind of grounding in handball. So Fabian, when you got out of athletics at the elite level that you were playing, what was your thinking about what will you do next, and how did you get into then being a business consultant to coaching?
Yeah. Woohoo. That's a great question, because it was not a straight line. Definitely not. I stopped playing for Team Canada in 2008. I stopped playing handball in 2010. So in 2008, when I stopped playing handball, I was already working as a physical therapist, so I was an employee. And I think the first business I created was about a year after that. And it was not because I wanted to create my business, because I was never someone who thought I would own a business one day or be a business coach. I met my business and life partner around that period, just before I stopped playing for Team Canada. And he started introducing me to attending conferences, personal development, and opening my mind to other things. And I remember that the first step I did was just resign as a physical therapist employee and become a consultant in physical therapy. So that was my first business move, I can call it like that. And I was hired by the same organization. And then a few months later, I decided to create my healthcare agency. So I was helping other therapists get contracts in other establishments, health establishments. I also had a passion for home staging. So I decided to create a side hustle, which was a home staging business. And with that business, I co-created a TV show, and I was on television for like 3 years.
You know, I have a face for radio. That's how successful I am, because I have a face for radio. And as you say that, being on television, look at this face, people. This is the face of a mom. This is the face of a mom of a teenager. That's amazing. There's lots of potential right there in front of us. So Fabian, in giving you that compliment, what does it take to then address the obstacles that you have faced, both for yourself as well as the coaching clients that you have? I mean, because it's a moving target. Being a coach in any industry is a moving target. What do you say to them?
I think the most important thing is to recognize that you don't know it all and that you can't do it all. And that you must have that open mind to be able to accept when people tell you stuff that you don't know,
Yep.
to be able to reflect on it, introspect on it, realize that, yeah, it might be true, and decide to change. And I say decide to change because there are a lot of people who mention that they're doing self-development or they have business coaching whatsoever, but they never really integrate the information and they never implement it, so they don't change. So I'm not talking about that. I'm really talking about the person who is coachable. So if I take it as in an athlete standpoint, like if I remember my athlete days, what my coach would say, I would not say I would listen all the time, but most of the time I would, because I would identify that the comment that I received was something I wasn't doing properly, or something that I needed to reflect on to change my technique or to change like my decision making and stuff like that. So I would say like the most important thing is to be able to recognize that, hey, you don't know it all. That's easy as that.
And in what you said, there's some humility in that. You have to have some self-admission. The coach can tell you what they saw, but until you actually, oh yeah, I think you're right. Oh, I get it. So this is a good segue into what I use every Monday. It's called the Mindset Moment. And this week we had a quote, and I'll tell you who the quote was from in just a minute, but it's the words that she quoted were very much in line with what you just said. And here's the quote. Never underestimate the power of dreams and the influence of human spirit. We are all the same in this notion. The potential for greatness lives within each of us. So said Wilma Rudolph, Olympic medalist in her own right. And I think the dreaming, it's within, I say this all the time about Nike saying about just do it. Well, you can't get to just do it unless you think about it first. And many times that thought is the dream, is the acceptance of what the coach said, and I humbly accept that and then want to move forward with my strategy. So as a coach then, and a former Olympic athlete, how can coaches use that kind of thinking in supporting themselves in their coaching business, or what you can say to them in developing their coaching business? How important is dreaming? How important is it to take action on your dreams?
Yeah, so I would say that first of all, before ever like working with someone, we go through a conversation, and I need to be able to understand that this person right in front of me is willing to do the steps, or is willing to get out of their comfort zone in the name of the goal or in the name of the dream. So that's why whenever I start working with someone, if that person has never even, dealt with any hardships or challenges that they overcame themselves, or always stayed in their comfort zone, I don't think eventually, like, I'll realize, or the person will realize that we're not a great fit, because entrepreneurship is stepping out of your comfort zone in a regular basis. If you want to grow, if you want to achieve stuff that you've never achieved before, if you're not willing to go into that discomfort, then you might as well not even give it a try, because it's just doomed to fail. So whenever I work with people, before even signing up with me, when we have that conversation, I just want to make sure that that person has dealt with something greater than themselves before and was able to overcome it. And then it tells me a lot about the resilience, about, the goal-oriented person that is in front of me, and about also the capacity that person can have into achieving their online business goals, like what we are supposed to be doing together afterwards.
Fabian, you're setting up a really great segue into things I talk about routinely as it relates to environment. We've got conditions in our environments, whatever that space might look like, or how big or small it might be. But when we talk about resiliency in the face of entrepreneurial endeavors, we didn't really imagine a pandemic, a global influence that is a challenge. So I believe that tomorrow's entrepreneurs that are starting today have, if they succeed, they've succeeded through conditions and challenges that nobody before them has ever faced. Because who in their right mind would want to start up a business now? You have less of a chance of thinking, where's my market coming from? Where's my first sale going to come from? Where am I going to find my client? Oh, you mean I'm going to have to find them through my computer? I don't get to go shake their hand? I don't get to go to a conference and meet them in a networking session? The answer to all of those is no, because we have this situation. So I am extremely excited, in a kind of a twisted sort of way, to see these entrepreneurs come through this. Because if you have the chutzpah, as I would say in my not my native tongue, but I know a little Yiddish. So they have the chutzpah to get through this stuff. You're my hero. You have endured startup that like nobody else has ever endured. And so when we have this person like you and me talking to an audience of folks saying, you need to be a dreamer, you need to activate your dreams, you need to have an attitude of, I can, I will, I must, and drive it through purposefully. And they're looking at me going, really? Seriously? That's what you want me to do? It's a pandemic out there, for crying out loud. I've got all of these economic, and the cost of money is going up. How am I going to start? Is a bank going to look at me and say, oh yeah, you're bankable? I really want to invest money in you. I'm being negative for a purpose, because the next question I have is about the word coach. Because in describing what we're going to do, bankers, financiers, friends, whoever who's going to support me is going to want to say, what do you do? What's your 30-second elevator speech that defines for me coach? What do you do as a coach? So I'll put you in that role, Fabian. What is the definition of coach?
A coach for me is someone who asks the right questions to that person so that person can express the best version of themselves. So for me, a coach is not there to save your life. A coach is there to express the best sides of yourself in the name of the goal that you have. And I say the coach is not here to save yourself, because most of the time people feel that, oh, let me hire Lowell because he's great at what he's doing and he's going to save me from all that crap I'm experiencing. Well, that's not a good thing, because if you're not willing to go inside and do that inner work first, then whoever that coach might be, it won't be a success for you. So for me, a coach is really to give you the tools and to ask the right questions in order for you to take the right decisions for your own life, but also to evolve as a person into your best version of yourself each and every single day.
Okay, so let's talk about strategy with that great explanation. Love that. So let's talk about strategy. So now you've got this person in front of you. They understand what you said about being a coach. It's from within you. It's inside out, not me telling you what to do. I'm going to guide you. I'm going to prep you, but you're the one going to make the effort. You're the one that has to have the buy-in and the ownership. So how should a coach connect then the mind and body with this nubile, energetic, ready-to-go individual entrepreneur to generate the performance outcomes that they are defining for themselves? Are we, I mean, money's easy, right? Well, kind of easy, but it's a quick fix. Let's find money, throw money at it. But typically, as you know in sports, it's the intangibles that come to bear to win the championships. It's the extra preparation from the most unlikely of candidates on the team that deliver those key results in those beneficial moments. So when you're first starting off with these folks, we define the word coach, made it personal to them about what that means for them. What are the keys to unlock it for them? Because dreaming, many times dreams they sit. They never get engaged. The dreams don't. How do you unlock them? What do you do?
So for me, what I always do is create that safe space. So I want them to feel comfortable enough to say stuff that is uncomfortable, because we all know that when we address this is where like the next level stands, you know? If the person never says anything, or everything is always right, or they don't feel comfortable saying those hard things, then the coach-coachee relationship is not a great one, and it might not lead to what you would expect it, right? So I would say that would be first. And then the second thing would be an extreme listener way more than the talker. Because most of the time, if we pay attention and really listen to what the person has to say, the answers lie inside of what they say, right? If we truly listen. If we just observe the majority of the conversations, most of the people, they're talking because they're waiting for them to have the chance to speak and say what they had in mind, instead of really listening to what the other person was saying and see, what kind of insight they could bring to the conversation. So for me, what's very important, and I could say that all my clients, that's what they say. They say that they feel that they have the space to say stuff, so it allows them to grow and to get to that next level. And also, the listening thing, I mean, this is something that the whole world lacks, listening skills. So if you have that and you want to become a coach, you're already ahead of a curve than a lot of people who don't really mind about what you're going to say because they care too much about what they want to say.
You remind me of a quote from a colleague of mine who was one of my mentors, Stephen Covey, and one of his habits was seek first to understand before you ask to be understood, which is exactly to your point. Listen with the intent to hear what they have to say, and that when you do speak, you're not speaking from my message, what I want to say, but you're speaking to qualify what you heard, to engage more and enrich what you heard, so that you build that deeper, more mindful connection. Because for me, with empathic listening, you get to a point where you help people level up, because you truly connect with where they're at, and then strategically because you listen, you're able to give them more specific comments on how to level up to the next place and reach out to that end in mind. Because after empathic listening, Dr. Covey talked about beginning with the end in mind and setting meaningful goals for yourself. So with that being said then, Fabian, if I told you that I was coachable and you believed me, I came to you sincerely, humbly, and said, I'm a coachable person, what would you expect of me to be able to play on your team? If I'm a coachable person, what do you expect of me?
Okay, to be able to receive the opinion of your peers on a team, for example. So not to take it defensively, and I know that some people might have that automatic reaction because they feel attacked whenever it has to do with something that they didn't really want to hear. But I have to say that me personally, I've grown a lot in that sense. And now whenever someone that I care about or who's working with me, you know, as a coach or someone I highly trust tells me something and it might like give me a reaction of, oh, I didn't see that coming or I didn't know, then I take the time to just step back, reflect on it, and then, you know, have a discussion about it. So for me, someone who's coachable, well, should be able to receive, and I'm not taking like someone attacking you for no reason or, you know, with jealousy or just being mean to you. I'm talking about someone who sincerely cares about your growth or about your evolution as a person or as an athlete whatsoever. If that person tells you something and you don't necessarily agree with it first, well, take a step back and don't reply automatically, because sometimes when you reflect, you're like, yeah, that's true, right? And then you make the adjustments in order to be able to go forward with it.
So are you saying that you have had teammates or business associates that are so close to what they do and so engaged in trying to deliver results that they don't see enough outside of that space to be objective? That when comments come to them from a teammate or a colleague, they go, you don't know what you're talking about. How could you say that? Well, but I have an objective viewpoint. I'm looking from out here. You're so engaged in what you do. Just please take a breath and take a look at my perspective and where I'm coming from. Now, I've also seen that happen in good times. Oh, that was great. Wasn't that wonderful? You did such a great job. What are you going to do now? What do you mean, what am I going to do now? I'm going to continue doing this. Well, but won't you get kind of stale? I mean, you're going to get results because you just did, but how do you know to level up? What are the steps that you're going to take from this success and bring it to the next level? So I want to ask you the question about managing emotions with regard to coachability. So I'm coaching both in good times and in bad, but I'm also aware of, okay, how do I energize them to go beyond their expectation, beyond their excellence? I've got very professional athletes that constantly tell me, well, I'm good at what I do. What do I need you for? Well, sustain. You want to sustain this.
Yeah.
Do you have a possibility that maybe as you age, things will slip a little bit? Are you aware of that? Are you going to manage the emotional condition that might bring about? So I'm going to ask you to reflect on 2008 when you decided to leave the sport. Were you reflecting on that? Were you looking at all the possibilities, or was there an internal fight inside of you? I'm still good. I can still do this.
When I stepped down, like personally in my for Team Canada, I think it was out of we had just been out of the Pan Am Games, and I was, my first Pan Am Games were in '99 and my last ones were in 2007, and in both, like, the results were so different. The first Pan Ams, we lost against Brazil in the gold medal match, and we lost by 4 goals, and that was our ticket to the Sydney Olympics. And in the 2007 Pan Am Games, I think we finished 6th out of 8 teams there, and when we played Brazil, we lost by like more than 20 goals, I think. So to me, it was just a realization that the Olympic goal was not going to be achieved that way. But I never closed the door for myself, like being able to attend the Olympic Games, like with some other role, because I've been to the Pan Am Games in 2019 as an athlete's mentor for the Canadian delegation. So my role was different. I was still in a major competition, and it's still a dream still for me to be at the Olympics. Okay, so basically for me, I stepped down because of that. And I remember when I stopped playing the game in 2010, I stopped because I was ready, and physically, like, it started to, my Achilles tendons were telling me that, hey, maybe it's time for you to stop. And recovering from a game took me about a week each and every single time. And then also the fact that I was still at a level that allowed me to play against younger players. So I always told myself that when I retire, I don't want to retire because I'm going down and, no one, like, everyone finds it easy to play me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I always wanted to leave at a place where I was still able to compete with the youngest and the best in the league, and that I felt ready also psychologically to leave the game. So that's why I left.
So did you experience some positive self-talk throughout all of that processing you did? Like, I'm still good, I can still play against younger players, but my left Achilles tendon is really sore today. So you kind of go through this intellectual processing stage by stage. And at the same time, it sounds like it was fortunate that you had the opportunity in 2019 to kind of stage your way out at a fairly successful level. But I'm worried about Tom Brady. He's 40 plus, and where's the revelation going to come for him? And is it going to be emotionally crippling when it does? Because I don't think he's staging anything. His wife has warned him. She's concerned about his safety. So you send some really great messages to people, both entrepreneurs as well as athletes, about managing your emotions through the ups and downs, the successes and the failures and the errors that you make. They have to be all melded together to give you perspective, so that you could see the 2019 Olympics as a way to gradually process your way out and feel good about yourself. Because I've met too many athletes, professional athletes in particular in baseball, that they didn't do that. They didn't emotionally prepare, and then suffered the difficulties of substance abuses and physical abuses, and then had no career because baseball was it. So emotional management of one's success and planning in your business, I think, is huge. So with that, I want to ask you this question about measuring the potential, because you mentioned I want a quiet, safe space for my clients to share with me, give me some insights. Do you do any kind of profiling or measuring of any components of that, so you get a deeper insight or direction of questioning with your clients, so you understand them even deeper?
What I love to do and what I discovered, it was I think I discovered that last year, and it's about their human design. So I don't know if you're familiar with human design, but then
I am.
Someone spoke to me about this last year, and to me it was a huge revelation, because I realized that along the way and along the teachings that I've gotten, I've been taught in a design that was not me, right? So for me, it shifted a lot of things inside, but also in my marketing and in the way I approach people. And like, this gives me, when we do that test, this gives me so much more understanding of where they're coming from and where their strong sides are. So we can push that more into their marketing than me trying to, make them do stuff that is not aligned with the design that they have. So yeah, for now, like, this is really like the deepest evaluation that I do. But yeah, I mean, and I love also to ask about a few questions about what their strengths are, and double down on that. Because I remember also, like, as an athlete, and also as, when you go to school and stuff, people always tell you, well, you're good at that, so we don't need to focus on that, right? Let's focus on what you're weak at, right? So you always end up working on stuff that's not your cup of tea, right? And you think eventually, I remember that's a mistake I did when I started my business. I was great at a lot of stuff, but I sucked at a lot of stuff. So I was putting all my energy into the stuff that I didn't control, or I wasn't great at. And it made me lose so much time, until one coach told me, like, you should just double down on everything you're great at and then delegate the rest, or add a team member that could do that stuff and help you, instead of you wanting to go something that's counterintuitive and you're not great at, right? So for me, like, it's mostly like seeing what the strong sides are and then understanding like what their design is, and then it gives me like way more a perspective of how I can go with that client and how to get the best out of them.
You make some really good points. One of them that I'm hearing you talk about is getting to know the client, or if you're a coach, the athlete. And I'll use the athlete first as a metaphor for this. Typically coaches say, well, they have the body type to do this. Well, they look really well, like they're a good wide receiver. They have the wide receiver build. Oh, they're a good distance swimmer look. I go, what does that, I mean, okay, great. Their muscle structure, their size, their height, their weight. Okay, what does that tell you about the complete athlete? Okay, we can measure that, bench presses, running, lifting, catching, throwing, whatever. We've got very specific metrics for all those things. But as we talked about earlier, the intangibles are what drive to championships. The unknowns that we are not measuring but could. So that it's that conversation, that listening that we do with athletes. So, human design is a measuring tool. There are skill builder measuring tools that we can say, are you math oriented, or are you more hand-eye coordination? Okay, those are all great things that give us a complete picture of things. But one of the things that somebody asked me the other day about success, what's the first thing you need to have in place to evaluate the ability to perform and be successful at it? And without hesitation, I said, desire. You gotta have desire. Well, that's a big word, right? It's like, okay, what desire? It's like coaching. What kind of coaching? What are you doing? So desire is measurable now. We can measure one's desire. And in doing that, we get an idea of the connection between the brain and the body. In sports psychology, as you may know from your experience as an athlete, there are times I know when I can fight through the pain because my brain and my body are connected. I know when it's just a twinge versus a real-time injury, and how much I can push that, because I was one of those guys that it was an injury and I'd still push through it. That was the stupid side of me back in the day. Take a salt pill, run a lap, you'll be fine. But Dad, my bone is broken. How will that help me? I don't understand. But that's just a whole other genre of thinking about coaching. It's much softer now. So when you speak to retired athletes about starting their own coaching business, what is the first thing you tell them that gives them an affirmation about their chances to succeed?
Yeah, I get into like their whole athlete story, because there are so many similarities. When you enter a high-level team, an elite team, a national team, or a pro team, well, you gotta go to a selection process. You go to you go to camp. They select you out of 400 people. You're one of them. They select you. So you already go through some stuff that you have to go through when you are entering entrepreneurship. So for me, I always anchor in the fact that they've already done that journey before. So it's just a matter of being able to do that journey into the entrepreneurship life. And then, they succeeded as athletes, so why wouldn't they succeed as an entrepreneur, right? Also, what a lot of people forget is that, when they get started, they feel like they're a total beginner. And again, I tell them you're not, because you've been through so many hurdles, injuries, a younger player taking your spot, you not competing at the Worlds, or you, for some reason, you got sick and 3 months you were out of the game, and you came back and you fought for your spot again, and you went to the next World Championship, or, as so amazing stories, I'm thinking about the high jumpers at the last Olympics, from Qatar and the Italian, coming back from injuries, both of them winning gold medal. It happens. And we all have that potential. So it's just a matter of, reviving or re-experimenting all these emotions and seeing that it's possible also for the entrepreneurship journey. Because I feel that athletes are they're shaped for it more than, someone who's never done any sport or someone who's never been against those challenges. Because the athlete's world is like a micro society. You need to stand out above your competitors, if I can call them like that, to earn your spot and to shine in your spot and to stay in your spot. Because if you're not willing to do that, someone else is going to take your spot.
Just look over your shoulder. Here they come. Just look over your shoulder, and here they come. The person's coming behind you. You got to stay in your spot. So when you've seen that foundational component of development, because they have that athletic experience, as entrepreneurs, then with those individuals, what do you tell them that are the basic guidelines you're recommending for them to start their business? Because their foundation is there, but now they're an entrepreneur. What are some of the basics that you share with them as their guidelines about getting this business started then?
Okay, so I can. Do you want me to talk about the framework that I teach to my clients?
That would be awesome.
Yeah. So each of my clients, I guide them through my dream method, which is a method I created to help them go from no business at all to having a flow of clients getting in and hitting their financial goal with their business. So D stands for designing your dream offer. So whenever you work in a business, especially in the online coaching world, you need to have an offer that is appealing to the people that you want to serve. So if that offer doesn't speak the language of your potential client, if it's not like transformative or results oriented, then it might never get the attention of the people you want to work with, and then no clients, no business. So we work on that first. The second thing is reinforcing your sales skills. So we all know that you need to know how to sell in order to be able to make some money in your business. And unfortunately, as I said before, a lot of people, when they start their business, they think, well, I'm starting, I'm a beginner, so let me go pro bono with my services, or let me charge like $100 per session, whatever, which is insane, because the value is into like what you've acquired over the years, all the successes that you've had in your athlete's journey or in your life, and then you just want to take all of that knowledge and experience and help others do and get those results that you can help them to. So the sales process helps you from taking that person as a prospect and then turning that person into a client. The E is about enhancing the know, like, and trust factor, and that goes way beyond what was there 10 years ago, where people cared more about your credentials, how professional you looked, and how perfect your podcast was. Now people want realness. I love the word realness.
There's still hope for me.
Yeah, of course.
Just checking.
That's what they love. They love to see you're having a sound problem, or you're just being human. Your son comes here and starts screaming on camera, whatever. They want real life examples, and they don't want you to be picture perfect, because that's not how the world is. All right. So I help my clients, especially in their messaging and in their marketing, how they can increase that trust, that know, like, and trust factor with their potential clients. Okay, so the A is to add many clients to your business with your personalized marketing strategy, and I talked a little bit about that earlier. The fact that it's not a cookie cutter strategy for everyone that works with me. We have to evaluate what your strong sides are and where we put the focus so you shine the most and you feel aligned with your marketing strategy. Too many coaches out there, they just say, well, do as I do and it will work out for you. Well, guess what? It's not true, okay? And then the last thing is make your clients your forever fans. So that means that how can you have your clients more than just with one transaction? So for example, if you have a program that's 3 months long, when that client is done with you, well, are they gone forever? You're never going to support them in any other aspects of their lives or of the reason why they reached out for you to help? Because the best marketing is with the actual clients that you have. Because if you give great results, if you're there for them, if they know they can trust you, well, they'll look to do business with you again and again, and they'll never go anywhere. So how could you think ahead of the curve and think, how can you support these clients in many, in higher levels of their evolution with you? So that's my dream method, and that's what all my clients go through when they work with me.
That's a great exclamation point for our discussion today. We've got a few more minutes before we end today, but I want to make sure that people know how to get a hold of Fabian Raphael? How do they do that? What's the most direct way to do that?
Okay, so you just go at fabianraphael.com, which is my website. And if you want, you can also Google me. I have a bunch of things on the internet if you want to know more about me, about how I teach, about what I do. And of course, on my website, you'll have all the info there if you want to connect with me directly or book a call with me.
Now let's make sure everybody remembers this. It's Fabienne, Fabian, Raphael, Raphael. Okay? Because there's all different kinds of ways people could mess all that up. So Fabian Raphael, and it's .com, right?
Yes.
Okay, and it's all together, no spaces in between, no dots. Fabian Raphael, just like I spelled it, .com, to check out our website. And as she said, like everybody should do, Google it. I should make a bumper sticker like that. Google it. I'm sure that's an original thought, right?
Another one. Wow.
So, as is always the case on a Friday at 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, we're talking with individuals who bring us practical insights into issues that help us be the best we can be. As my daughter would say, be your best self, Dad. That's extremely difficult for me to do, dear. I try very, very hard. With a face like this, we have limitations, okay? It's just reality. So, as I say that, I want to remind you that next week we're going to have Amy Morin with us. She's a family nurse practitioner. She's been on the show before. It's appropriate that with school starting, we talk about how to prepare to get started, because we have many hurdles, if you will, that our children must either jump over, go under, move around, to have a rewarding experience at school these days. As you know, Fabian, you know, I have a child who might be doing this with their mask, or putting it up here, or wrapping it around the side of their face. And then you've got an older child who doesn't want to wear one at all. And that's fine, because they think they're an adult, but they're not yet. So we've got all these emotional things going on in our world today in preparation for school starting. Does it change our supplies we buy? Do we still get to go to the sporting events? Because some counties, some states, some countries have different latitudes of participation than another city or county next to them. We're going to talk about that with Amy Morin, a family nurse practitioner. And we'll talk about science as well, but we're going to try to talk about it in practical terms that brings the facts to bear, based on science, so that we can promote the best experience possible for our little monsters that go to school and are facing all of these wonderful challenges that we, as adults, we did this to them. Just making sure we understand this. Take total ownership of it, whatever degree you want, but we as the adults have put this on our children. It's our fault for doing this to them. Well, COVID wasn't our fault necessarily. We just kind of inherited that, but how we manage it. So we've had a great time with Fabian Raphael. I'm so glad and grateful to my colleague, Nikki Burnett. Everybody knows Nikki with her nutrition, our functional nutritional show here at KUHS Denver. Fabian and Nikki met through I'm going to promote this. I think this is a great, now I can't join. I'm just going to say right now, I cannot join this group. It's called Dames. Do you get why I can't join this group? Not that I want to. Maybe. I don't know. No, I don't want to. It's not for me. But they met there, and when great people like that meet, I want to pay attention to the groups like that and refer it as much as I can, because there's wonderful things going on for and with the feminine mindset. Everybody needs to be in touch with their feminine mindset, even me, so that we can have a good understanding of all aspects of our cultures and our societal norms. So, in the last few minutes, Fabian, give my audience and your audience who's watching, what's your takeaway? What do you want them to take away from today?
Wow, okay. I want you to understand that you already have within you everything that it takes to go to, to get to that place that you're aiming for. So you said earlier during our conversation the word desire, how important it is to have that desire. So if you have that burning desire of, financial freedom or freedom in all the senses of the word, or greater relationships and stuff like that, well, you already have everything within you. It's just a matter of being able to tap inside of you and get that introspection with the right help around you and the right environment. Because one of the mistakes a lot of people do is that they want to get somewhere, but the people surrounding them are people who are negative or who don't believe in themselves or try to bring them down instead of, praising them and helping them get there. So try to have that evaluation of what your circle of friends is, like what are the people around you saying about you when you're not around? Are they praising you or they're just bringing you down all the time? What kind of help you have around you? Is it easy for you to reach out to someone whenever you have that struggle or that challenge? And then, well, if you have a dream or if you have that desire, well, make it happen. Because the only person that is going to be suffering from that is yourself if you don't act on it. And there are plenty of people and resources around you to make that happen. Just a matter of you taking that decision and hiring the right help to make that dream come true.
I'm glad you ended with that, because as we talk about here with practical outcomes to the messages we send every Friday, one of those is making sure that you take care of you first. And that's a statement that should remind you, present your best first. And keep working on the things that you need to work on, but present your best first. That's what primarily identifies you with the people that gravitate towards you. And as you continue to perform your best and lead yourself first, you won't have to look back for followers. They'll just be there. Don't expect followers. Leaders that are true leaders do not expect followers. They know that what they do is for themselves first, in a purposeful, principled way. They're not aware of self because they want to be selfish. They want to be better at being them. That's my message to you today. I'm so grateful to Fabian and Raphael for being here with us. I don't know whether to say go Canada or go US. I'm so ambivalent right now. It's so difficult. No. Rock on, America. I'm sorry. Sarcastic humor there at the end. Thank you, everybody. Next Friday, Amy Morin with us, family nurse practitioner. We're going to talk about school prep and pandemics. And what do we do as parents? Let's keep going. Fabian, stick with me as we close out. I'll end off air with you. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for being with us.
Bye.